So I'm going to talk about why I believe in them. Okay, so when I was younger, I'm going to give you a little story now. I don't usually tell people this story, but I'm going to share it today in relation to what we're speaking about. When I was really young, let's say 4 years old, I remember being in bed and I remember seeing, I just remember seeing faces when I was really young. And I'd see them in my room, in my bedroom. And you could think that's a child's imagination running away with itself. Of course, you could believe that. I get why you think that. But this is my experience. This is my perspective. And I used to see imagine like a smoke colour, but I'd see faces and ghosts in the room. I'd see them in the room. And I was trying to fight. I'd get up and I'd try and fight them with my plastic sword. I've not told many people this story. But I was 4-year-old fighting these ghosts off. Little kid. Could it be my imagination running away with itself? From my perspective, though, it was happening. It was happening. That was happening. Trust me, that was happening from my perception of things. And that happened quite often when I was young. And I remember going to speak to a teacher. I built up enough courage. Yeah, a little plastic sword, like a little kid, little saddle or whatever. I remember telling one of my teachers about it. And it took me a lot of courage, and it took me like weeks to build up the courage to speak to them. And then I went to them, and they just shrugged me off, like, shut up, you little dickhead, what are you on about? That's probably what they thought. And they just shrugged me off, and then I said, oh, I really wanted to speak to someone about it. But I couldn't. And then I just dismissed it, let's say. And I also remember being very, very young, led down. And I remember, God, I'm just going a bit deep now. Sounds crazy, this might sound crazy, but I'm going with it. Anyway, I remember seeing like a battle happening and loads of fire. And I used to lie in bed, and it was like I could see people fighting. It was on top of my bedroom, and there was a window, and the hill went up. It's a hill right up to like where the window is of my old house. There's a hill and then something at the top. This could have been a dream. This could have been my imagination, of course. But I used to see like fire and things happening, like a fight, like a battle, and I'd see it quite frequently. And that was my story as a child with the spirits, basically. The ghosts that I saw when I was younger. That's what I interpreted it as. Anyway, I got a bit older then. So I'm getting a bit older now. I'm 7, 8 years old. I've not really seen that thing. That just drifted away. That stopped happening. But I was still interested in ghosts as a kid. I just found it interesting. And then nothing happened. Nothing happened, basically, for a few years. And then, how do I go about it now? So then you're just dismissing it. But I'd sometimes go downstairs at my house, and I'd feel like goosebumps sometimes. And I'd run back upstairs scared. Maybe that's just fear or whatever. One moment. But anyway, that was that. Then I got to like 20 years old, 21 years old. And I was always interested in meditation, things like that, but was very underdeveloped. I remember getting a self-hypnosis book, and I did a lot of meditation. I went deep into meditation. I think I must have been about 24, 25, if I'm honest. And I was doing it every day for hours for a good few months, therefore opening the third eye potentially. But I was underdeveloped, of course. I was untrained, of course. And I remember just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And then something opened up, and honest to God, I'd be led in bed, and I'd close my eyes, and I'd see them just drifting around everywhere. I know it sounds crazy. This might sound crazy to some people, but to me, it was real. It is real to me. I'd see the spirits. It's like a smoke. Imagine you've got smoke, the colour of smoke, grey smoke, but you close your eyes, and I could see the faces. I could see them drifting around me. There'd be I'd lie to my left, there'd be some there. I'd lie to my right, there'd be some there. I'd have feeling tingles, and all sorts of things. And they'd be in the room all the time at that point. And I thought, oh my God, I want this to stop. I was a little bit scared, but not really scared. And I think, this is too much. What the hell is fucking going on? I thought I was losing my mind potentially, but I do have a strong mind. I'm thinking, I want this to go away. This is awful. All these spirits, maybe you're like a beacon, aren't you, potentially? That's the way I see it. You're a beacon, and these spirits are thinking, oh, we've got someone that's receptive to us on this frequency, and they come to you potentially, if you're going to believe in this type of thing. And that was happening quite a lot at one point. It was happening quite a lot. Yeah, it's some deep shit. I know. I know it's deep shit. I don't speak about this usually because I think people might think I am bloody crazy, which I am not. But they might think that, which is fine. Everyone's got their own opinion. So yeah, that was happening a lot. And another one is, what else did I used to see? Oh my God. I used to see a very dark figure as well, really tall, dark figure. And it'd have like a hat, like shadow people, they call them shadow people. I used to see those in my room a lot as well. With a hat, dark, really tall, thin, tall. And they'd have a hat on as well, really tall. And that was quite scary as well. I used to see that at that time as well. I'm going to go to, I'll crack on with more stories in a moment, but I'm going to go back to the note, back to people's comments, should I say. And yeah, I think it was my third eye opening, back to what Yorick was saying, potentially. But it's underdeveloped, of course. And I always have this feeling, and I get it sometimes, it's like a tingling feeling. I've also, another story, sorry, I've been led down on the couch in my mum and dad's house, which I believe is haunted. Actually, I know it's haunted. And then I'd seen the apparition come across like that. So an apparition of like a figure, like a grey, a ghostly figure just coming across like so. And I just saw it just coming across. Sorry, I'm trying to speak the best I can about this. I usually talk, my name's Brad, by the way, that anyone hasn't seen me before. This is the Inspirational Ambivert channel. I don't usually talk about this specifically. I usually speak about self-improvement, self-awareness, resilience, the difficulties that men face in today's society. I talk about a wide variety of topics. Usually it's in relation to self-improvement though. But